Hello, my name is Mike Adkins. I've chosen to review Fourpole Creek's watershed because it's close to home and I grew up fishing in it. It is part of a larger watershed called the Raccoon Sims watershed. It's located in the southern portion of Ohio and includes Huntington, West Virginia. It is a fairly large watershed, being a little over 1,200 square miles. Fourpole Creek is a tributary to the Ohio River and is located in Cabell and Wayne counties. It flows through mainly Huntington, but also out towards the Beverly Hills area. The stream length is 11.7 miles long, and the watershed is approximately 23 square miles, being much smaller than the Raccoon Sims watershed. This road map helps visualize exactly where Fourpole is a little better. You'll see at the left where the mouth is, it crosses by St. Cloud's and the west end of Huntington. And towards the right, it flows towards Huntington, being Ritter Park and close to Spring Hill. You'll notice in the middle of the image is Hissy Fork, which is a tributary, and also Grapevine branch out to the right, also a tributary. Fourpole's land use is mainly forest areas, which makes up about 47% of Fourpole's land use. It also has about 19% of urban pervious land and about 17% urban impervious land, being parking lots, high intensity urban areas. There's also about 18% pasture lands and about 1% construction, which is very small, but it does impact the watershed quite a bit. This map shows you exactly where the land uses are along the stream. On the bottom half, you'll notice a lot of green and yellow, the green being forest and the yellow being pasture lands. Up on the top, where Huntington would be located, you notice a lot of gray being low intensity urban, with patches of red in it being high intensity urban. This would include parking lots and stuff like that. Fourpole Creek is actually subdivided into 12 subwatersheds, which could be very helpful if you had a specific portion of the creek that you wanted to look at water quality data. I would focus on subwatershed 1 since that's where I spent most of my time. To the right, you'll see a table that displays each subwatershed's land use, and I just took out the first 3 for reference. If you go down to the forest of each of the 3 subwatersheds, you'll notice the first one is almost 270 acres of forest, while the second drops down to 87 and the third drops down to 41. It's quite a big difference. If you look over at 1, you'll see it's on the west end of Huntington by St. Cloud's, and over at 2 is mainly all in Huntington, which is why there's such a low percentage of forest in that area. These are all the designated use categories for West Virginia streams. Categories A, B1, B2, B4, and C have all been impacted for Fourpole's watershed. A and C are human health categories, being A, public water supplies, and C is water contact recreation. B1, B2, B4 all deal with aquatic life, being warm water fisheries, trout waters, and wetlands. D through E mainly deals with power production and industrial use. Here's the applicable water quality criteria for Fourpole's watershed that was exceeded. If you'll see on the left-hand column, it has the pollutants, aluminum on the top and fecal coliform on the bottom. You'll notice that fecal coliform has impacted the human health C and A categories. And you'll notice aluminum has impacted aquatic life B1, B2, and B4. And in the boxes for aluminum has 750, which is the criteria not to be exceeded. And you'll notice down in fecal coliforms, the criteria shall not exceed 200 counts per 100 milliliters of water as a monthly geometric mean based on no less than 5 samples per month, or it is not to exceed 400 counts per 100 milliliters of water and 10% of all the samples taken during the month. This shows all of the data sources for the final TMDL report for fecal coliform and aluminum that I used. Almost all of the data comes from the DEP, but this would be useful if you have a specific type of data that you're looking for and you're not sure where to find it. Here I have all the point and non-point sources for aluminum and fecal coliform. The non-point sources for aluminum include construction, urban, barren, agriculture, silviculture, impervious surfaces, and point sources include stormwater construction permits. For fecal coliform, non-point sources would include storm runoff, septic tanks, illicit discharges, sewer systems, wildlife, pasture land, and point sources would include general sewage permits, stormwater discharges, home aeration units, CSOs, combined sewer overflows, and West Virginia soils are naturally high with aluminum, so any sort of disturbance like construction or fast stormwater runoff will naturally increase the concentration of aluminum. This map shows all of the point sources discharging into Fourpole's watersheds. Fairly detailed, so I'm going to focus on the left portion of it where the first subwatershed would be. You'll notice it has some S's and some Z's. The S's are CSOs up the mouth, and I also see some home aeration units in the area. Other things include general sewage permits and stormwater construction permits. But if you notice on the top stretch, it's almost horizontal. That's flowing right behind Huntington. Notice all of the stormwater discharges in a row. It's all coming from Huntington. And here are my citations. Almost all of them came from West Virginia's DEP website, and some come from the EPA also. Thank you.